Right now, I'll go ahead and turn it over to the world-famous Paul Preston.
Thank you, Larry. It was a great presentation tonight, and I'm going to throw some things at you very quickly before I get started on what I want to talk about. But it was the militia who came to the rescue of Clive and Bundy. Militias, actually. And of course, that's really altered the history of this country in so many different ways that we don't even understand even today. But in the next probably 20, 30 years, as we go back and look at this point in time in our own history, that the militia and oath keepers in particular as well played a big role in that. And it really did change the history of this country. And just recently we had another situation up at the Glease mine. Oath keepers responded. And that was going to be another Bundy situation. And of course it was the Oath Keepers who showed up with weapons against our government and turned back the government because the government was lying to everyone. Can't imagine that. That's why you have militias and Oath Keepers. It's something to remember. And that's why you have a Second Amendment. And a Third Amendment, and a First Amendment. You can exercise those rights legally because the Constitution says you can. So if you have any doubts or trepidations about militias or oath keepers, I want to set some records straight. In almost every case in the last 20 years where you've heard disparaging remarks about militias, these have been orchestrated by our own government to disparage the militias. In almost every case. So think about that. The militias that I'm aware of are like this one. Where they understand the Constitution, they understand the roles and responsibilities. And it's what happened up there in Glease that I think, sort of brought to an apex, if you will, what's going on with the Oath Keepers. I don't believe so. No, I don't believe it's shut down. And tomorrow, if you listen to our radio show at 12 noon, Stuart Rhodes is going to be on. Special guest, we have a breaking story. I cannot discuss it for obvious reasons right now, but there's another operation going on, and he'll be on noontime tomorrow on KRAC 1360 or 1370 AM, and you can hear what's going on. It's another Bundy situation. Okay, any quick questions that I can answer before I get into the meat and potatoes here? Yes, sir. Chattanooga? Yes, I do. That's part of my presentation. I'll hold off. Anybody else? Quickly. Okay, let me go through some things very quickly because the time is short and everybody wants to get to happy hour. But some of this stuff is going to be quite compelling and fascinating. And Wiki, do you have that video by chance?
What's it called? You got about 20 on here.
Upper left-hand corner of the website, click on Scott Bennett. Left-hand corner of the website. It says Scott Bennett, it says ISIS fraud. And it goes to a web page, and then it goes to a YouTube in the middle of the page. Okay, let's go through a few things so that you understand what's happening, because there are some historical moments about to unfold. First of all, Bo Bergdahl, remember him?
Treason.
Traded for 5 criminals, terrorists, butchers, bomb makers by our president. He was apprehended in Mendocino County a week ago. How many of you are aware of this? Yeah. Some if you listen to my radio show, you're very much aware of what's going on with Bergdahl. Yeah, he was in a residence right near I guess it would say, a monastery that had 180 pot plants. Now, what's he doing in Mendocino County when he's supposed to be at Fort Sam Houston? Oh, he had a 10-day pass, of course, right? He was visiting his friends. Now, because I have resources in that area, they called me and said, Paul, do you want the inside story on Bergdahl? I said, I'd love the inside story on Bergdahl. This is what we have on Bergdahl to date. The residence that he was at is run by the Sinaloa cartel. Go figure. And also, not only that, it's a known residence for gun running. Guns into the country that get distributed in this country. I said, what size weapons? AK-47s is what I was told. So now you put marijuana and AK-47s together, and you got Bo Bergdahl, and you kind of get really curious, don't you? So I put my tinfoil hat on, and I said, this is just too good to understand this. So we started researching, doing more and more research, and doing more and more research, and you know what we came up with? Chattanooga. Somebody asked a question about Chattanooga? Do we know what happened there?
Yeah, Marine was charged for shooting at the terrorists.
No, Navy. Better not say a Marine. Okay, so what happened at Chattanooga? You had a young man, a Muslim, 24 years old. A little bit of history about this. A little bit of history about this. Okay. A little bit of history about this guy. 24 years old, pretty good kid growing up, and then all of a sudden radicalization starts to hit him. Hits him so well, he decides to go off and go to Jordan to visit one of his friends because there were so many bad influences in America. Too many drugs and too much alcohol. And girls. That's what the dad said. 7 months later, he decides to just kind of saunter on over to Yemen for 2 months. Now, here's the connection. Here's the deal. You go to Jordan, the north of Jordan, and this is the story that Chris Street and I broke on our radio show. We were one of the first in the nation. ISIS training was being developed in the north of Jordan in 2012. Oops. Now, who was doing that training?
CIA.
Funded by
Obama.
the United States of America, Hillary Clinton specifically, and President Barack Hussein Obama, and the United States Marine Corps, which I found a lot more out today. And I'm not at liberty to discuss, but that's all coming. You see, we are in the game of training, arming, and giving commands to ISIS. It's the Obama military. It's the CIA military. It's Hillary's military. So, when I hear the term that he goes off for 7 months to Jordan, I think, well, he must have been visiting those nice little Marine Corps training camps that were all set up by Hillary Rodham Clinton and President Barack Hussein Obama. Is that chilling or what?
Yeah.
On my Facebook, somebody alluded to this because we put up some of the story, and there's other stories on my Facebook about the Marines. I'm the son of a Marine. My father-in-law was a decorated Marine. I take the Marine Corps seriously. I grew up on Marine Corps bases. I was crushed, personally crushed, and that's what I wrote when I learned this back in 2012. So I've been carrying this for a long time. I've been talking about it for a long time. Now all of a sudden it's becoming more and more public about what's going on. So I say to myself, I got this tinfoil hat on, and I'm going to use a little bit of good old American logic. I'm going to say, logically, this 24-year-old was over there for 7 months, probably training with ISIS. Then he goes on for advanced bomb training in Yemen. Then he comes back over here. Now, how many actually know what happened in Chattanooga? The details. How many know details about what happened? This is how it went down. You have Muhammad is his name, who gets his nice silver brand new Ford Mustang convertible, has the top down, and he drives up to a recruitment center. He starts spraying the recruitment center with his AK-47. There was no muzzle rise. The gun was completely controlled. Oh, that's our first hint, and actually there's two there. Because he jumps in his car and he drives 7 miles away. Now, I brought this up when this shooting first started. I said, is this not like a military operation? Create the distraction over here, get in your car and drive 7 miles away and go to your targets. He crashes through an unguarded gate, enters a building with his gun, and goes hunter-killer style, room to room, searching for victims. Now, how many of you have heard that already? Well, you just heard it. Never got out of the car at the recruitment center. So he creates a distraction. Nobody knows where he's at. The police are all rushing over here, and nobody's going over there at the recruitment center. To which 4 Marines and 1 sailor die. One sailor, a commander, had his own personal weapon on him. Another person we don't know yet, because they have not let that out, that was perhaps a Marine or one of the sailors, had his own personal weapon and engages the guy. In the meantime, these 4 Marines that died are getting people out of the building. And then when they get them out of the building, you know what they do? They go back into the fight. And they engage him. Those were Americans. The commander who was shooting back, we don't have the ballistics. We don't know if he actually hit the guy and took the guy out. Here's my point. What is this president going to do to the commander? He's charging him. Because he had a gun on military reserve, right? I don't think that's going to be the case. We're going to find out. No, it's in the hands of the county sheriff. They're not the military. So we'll find out. Now, I bring that up because one of the things that's very critical to understanding what happened with this guy is the fact that he was so screwed up on marijuana. Well, I'm sure that Mr. Obama's token away right now. And that brings us to Bo Bergdahl, who on the night that he was sent out to join his Taliban brothers, the record shows that he was absolutely blottoed on hashish. Now, maybe we're connecting some dots. Have you ever heard of Hessians or assassins? The Hashishis, Muslims from the 10th to 12th century. And did you ever hear what they did with marijuana? A lot. They got their assassins loaded, and they gave them 2 offerings. You know, hashish is a very, very strong, even back then, was a very, very strong, high-content THC. And this is kind of an interesting story. We've kind of gotten all the pieces of the puzzle, thanks to some friends over here in Willits, which is kind of interesting. But when you have a hashishi, or an assassin as they're called, that's where the name assassin comes from. What they would do is be called on to go and assassinate people in a very brutal fashion. They would be given, not narcotics, but hashish, some hallucinogens, and they'd be kept on a regime of that 24/7. Until 3 days before they were to kill their victims. Then they stopped it. You know anybody who's been really strung out on marijuana, what happens on the 3rd day? They become intensely violent. And they're given a choice. They're trained to be given a choice. You can kill your victims and kill yourself and go to heaven. Or you can come back, have more marijuana, and go to the garden. Now, I don't know if that explains what happens to all these people, all these assassins. But let's see. Which mass shootings, by the way, the count for number of mass shootings, mass murders on this president's watch is 27 in 6.5 years. The runner-up is Bill Clinton with 23 and 8. That's just going to go up. You kind of get what I'm going to? This is what they're doing. And you had, James Holmes today. They're going to give him the death penalty. What did he do all the time? All he did was smoke marijuana. Now, I learned this stuff about Muhammad in the first clue about him. It's kind of interesting. Red State Talk Radio, who I'm on 6 hours a day, and 6 hours on the weekend, is in Cleveland, Tennessee, right next to Chattanooga. Don't you just love it when a plan comes together? So I looked at the picture of Muhammad, the arrest picture. How many of you have seen that? I want you to go back and take a good look at his picture because, I'm a trained expert in marijuana recognition. First thing I said, every time I see the president, he's stoned. Not only is he stoned, but he's telling me he's a habitual user of high-content THC, marijuana. And the clue is in the eyes. Quickly look at your neighbor's eyes right now. I'm not going to out anybody, but quickly take a look. Don't look at Karen. Karen, don't look at Roger. Okay, look, this is what it is. High-content THC means it's high-content THC. It's fat-soluble. It stays in your system, especially your fat cells. It accumulates. That's why it takes 60 to 90 days to get it out of your system. And one of the places it accumulates is in the sclera of your eyes. And it turns your eyes blue-gray. I want you to go home and look at that picture. It also changes the patina on your skin, especially your face. Not your arms. You're out. You're okay, buddy. You're okay. And for a guy like me, you see it right away. So I said, oh, he's a stoner. But there's a deeper story. Every one of these mass murders has been committed in the fashion that we've seen, like the case in Chattanooga, except for some people, like Holmes and this guy Roof, who kind of got away. You see, because at the end they are told and trained to kill themselves. Obviously, those two did not get the memo. Now, they're a problem, because some of them are starting to want to open up. Now, that can cause dooming things for them, but... So, that's where these two are related. Oh yeah, we have not given up on Bergdahl. By the way, when Bergdahl was apprehended and caught up in this thing, the sheriff there took him out. I'm going to return you back to the army. So there was a prisoner exchange again for Bergdahl. He's gone through it twice. In Afghanistan and here. And he was exchanged in Santa Rosa. So if you're Bergdahl. Anyway, there's a lot to the Bergdahl thing. A lot to it. And there's going to be a lot more in it. The Bergdahl thing is like, as I say now today, when I start talking about Bergdahl on the radio, I say Bergdahl. Just like I said Benghazi. We're going to keep this crisis lingering longer. There's more to Bergdahl and his parents. And Obama. Go figure, yeah. No, well, I covered that one. Well, not all of it. The mother, Obama, I don't know about that. Pretty. Okay, let's see, chat. Okay, Cecil the Lion. Cecil? Cecil to you and Cecil to me. Okay, let me tell you my background. I'm a biologist, and I was a member of the Cetacean Society and Greenpeace back in the 70s. Very proud, especially of the work we did with the Cetacean Society, which was saving the whales. Because I can remember going out in the channel out there, the Channel Islands, and not seeing a whale for days back in the 60s. Now they're navigational hazards. They're all over the place. I took thousands of kids on field trips, watching kids get seasick. It's a wonderful thing. But I saw, hundreds, thousands of whales the last time we did it, over the time period, where I'd seen none before. So I enjoy that. Now, Cecil? I don't like hunting animals like that. I did the big game hunting thing in Africa. But it's an industry. It's a big-time industry over there that only the people there understand. We don't. We don't get it at all. Okay, so I wanted to check this out. So I got in touch with, her name is Brendy Richards. She has a show on Red State Talk Radio, and it's all about South Africa. How many of you know what's going on in South Africa? You better learn. You know about South, okay. You better learn right now, because that's their plan for us here. I'm just telling you the code word here. That is their plan for us here in especially California. We're going to be the first one. But read or understand what happened there. Tom?
They're taking the land from the people and giving it back to whoever they feel has the right to it, right?
Oh, that's one part of it, yeah. It's just, and then they're controlling the power and all that stuff. Everything's race-based, which is really terrible. But Brendy helped me out in terms of understanding a lot of the stuff in Zimbabwe. Here is the problem that they have with Cecil? Cecil. Did I say it right? I want to be politically correct here. So Cecil. Cecil, am I a defiant guy or what? So Cecil. No, I don't want to get the his and her, women and men, all that stuff. Anyway, you just happen to notice that this whole Cecil thing happened at the same time that you're going into the second round, actually the third round of videos coming out about Planned Parenthood. It all came from Media Matters. You know who they are. They're the media group that goes right into the White House. See, Cecil was killed over a month ago. And then I started reading, and I started making a few phone calls. Excuse me, the original story about it was that he was killed by a Spaniard. No mention of an American. And there was a whole bunch of stories about it. So I'm like, let's put on that tinfoil hat again. So I knew Brendy because I've talked to her several times, and so I've been in touch with people in Zimbabwe. And they're saying to me, and I've got one more source to contact, so I'm not going to go out and say exclusively what I'm thinking or you're thinking, but they say to me, why are you guys talking about a doctor? Now, wouldn't it be just like them to lie about the doctor? Crisis actor, anybody? I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not saying for sure, but it all seems a little funny, doesn't it? That, oh, by the way, we got to tug everybody's heartstrings about the lion. And now there's more lions. And those stories, by the way, I did get a confirmation about Cecil's brother. He is still alive. He's still alive. And that story went out there that he was dead, right? Poachers got him. No, a person in Zimbabwe, they sent me the email, he's still alive. You see, this is the kind of stuff that's going on. This is a culture war like we've never seen. And so what do we have here? We have a story that's just drilling them, isn't it? About Planned Parenthood. And they're losing ground on that one big time. Then all of a sudden we have to have Cecil. Okay, let's deal with some reality. How about 90,000 black babies that are aborted every year in New York? There are more black babies aborted than born in New York every year. Okay, Black Lives Matter. except if you're Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton. But to me, Paul Preston, those Black Lives Matter because I don't look at them as Black lives, I look at them as Americans. As human beings. Now I'm kind of getting off a little bit on this whole thing about, and I have it on the radio. I used to teach anatomy and physiology as part of my other things. I've worked on cadavers. I'm not a doctor, used to do some work and stuff, but I've worked on cadavers. I've held fetuses at the various stages as classroom academic work. I've taught students about this. And this whole abortion thing, of buying and selling body parts, I've known about this for a long time, but I'm so grateful for this group to have done this sting. And of course, what's happening? They're being investigated by the Obama. So this is lawlessness, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm here to tell you, we know it's lawlessness. My point is this: now more than ever before, we need to remain lawful. Follow the Constitution. Follow the laws. Be law-abiding. It's destroying them. They're trying every little trick in the book to create a race riot, to do all these things to disrupt our culture, and we're not buying it as a culture or society. We're winning. Okay, we're ready for Scott? We roll something? Just a few minutes of Scott Bennett, because you're going to be cheering by the time this is over.
I was in the Bush administration from 2003 to 2008. I worked at the State Department as a counterterrorism analyst. I was in Special Operations Command. I was at U.S. Central Command. I got a direct commission as an Army officer. I had advanced degrees, a PhD, a master's, and a bachelor's, and I spoke Spanish fluently. So I lived all my life in California, and I went out to Washington, D.C. in 1998 to go to fight against the Clinton administration. I thought they were doing some things I found immoral and bad, so I packed a bag and I went out to Washington, D.C. in 1998 and started going into the Republican political sector because I thought they were conservative and I thought they represented conservative values and things like that. So I worked out in the Bush administration from 2003 to 2008, and then I got pulled into Booz Allen Hamilton. How many are familiar with Booz Allen Hamilton? Booz Allen Hamilton is a defense contractor that has contracts all over the world in the military and in the intelligence community. CIA, NSA, National Reconnaissance Office, all the major branches of the military. And they do everything under the sun. They started back in the 1940s, setting up the IRS and a bunch of other federal agencies. They're also responsible for developing Homeland Security. So I got pulled into the Booz Allen Hamilton shop by a guy named Colonel Jeff Jones. He was a 4th Psychological Operations Commander. He was an old school John Wayne, best and brightest of what we have in the military. I say had in the military because he's passed and there's no one that matches him. And I remember going to a Pentagon briefing in which I stood up and challenged Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld and General Myers. And I said, sir, what are we doing in the psychological operations community? What are we doing in psychological warfare? My background had been in advertising, and I did a lot of study into the Islamic mind, Islamic counterterrorism, jihad. I knew everything there was to know on the Sunnah, the Hadiths, the life of Muhammad, the Quran. And I was working in the Bush administration at the time. And I was working with joint interagencies and how they were attacking the menace of, quote, September 11th, which I came to discover much later was not the narrative that I thought it was. But I'll leave that aside for right now. But Myers and Rumsfeld had said, well, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're failing, and we need better and brighter people to join the team. So why don't you join? Why don't you join the military? And shortly after that, I got a call from Colonel Jeff Jones and said, I like what you said. I'm looking to assemble a team of people. I want you to join it. So I left the Bush administration and joined Colonel Jones's team in Booz Allen Hamilton, and I embarked on my military career. I was given a direct commission. I went through Army training, and I saw things, and nothing I ever talk about is classified. I take my oath as an officer and as someone who's sworn to top secret SCI material very seriously.
I'm teasing you here because I'm going to shut it off, but because it's a 48-minute video. And you can see the video, it's full length, it's up on our website at Gen 21 Radio. This is from the Liberty Tour. This is one of the things we did at the Liberty Tour. Now I want to tell you something here. And listen, it's not top secret. And by the time I get done, I hope the hell you tell everybody what I'm telling you right now. And they go and look at that videotape. That man has the evidence that's going to take care of Hillary Rodham Clinton and also President Barack Hussein Obama. He presented at the Liberty Tour. Who was there? Who was there? Is that not true, what I just said?
Yes.
He presented information. I'm telling you, it's on this. I still have goosebumps. The goosebumps after. Listen, you're seeing a guy who's been up for almost 72 hours. This is the work I did. Because we're following up on a lot of stuff right now. A lot of stuff that's going on. A lot of stuff really popped over the weekend. A lot of stuff popped last Monday. And there's things happening I'm not at liberty to talk about. This guy's one of them, but I will tell you this. He has taken his information, and we've helped him. I've helped him. Other people around the community have helped him. People around the United States has helped him get information to every member of Congress about Hillary Rodham Clinton and President Barack Hussein Obama and other senators, including John McCain. They are implicated in the formation and funding of ISIS. The guy in Chattanooga, who is his commander, I'm going to make it right now, President Barack Hussein Obama. He was operating on orders from him. That will be proven conclusively. I encourage you to go and watch that video. Now, I came out with this story with Scott 3 months ago. And we've been trying to get it in and get it in and get it in. And finally we get the video. We've been on interview. He's been on a gazillion interviews all over the place. I had him on this morning. You can hear the interview tomorrow morning from 6 to 9 a.m. It's in the second hour on Red State Talk Radio. It's on the website. You'll see the little icon on the right-hand side. Everybody in the Senate and on all those committees have the information. You need to probably listen to the story first, the whole thing. This is what's happening. July 5th, we documented it in the story there. Who comes out with information directly provided by Scott Bennett was Andrew Napolitano. He comes out on the Business Channel on Fox News. I about fell out of my chair. I didn't know what to do to get up, crawl around, grovel, or what. And his statement was this, that Hillary Clinton, senators, members of Congress, and President Barack Hussein Obama have committed multiple felonies. And these felonies, he didn't say, but it's very easy to find out, are involving treason. I know, the happy hour, Larry's back there. But this is what's happening. That was the 5th. On the 7th, Rand Paul on Fox. Well, we got this information. You know, the surface about Hillary Clinton and the president and all these Swiss bank accounts. And boy, are you hearing about USB right now. UBS, United Bank of Switzerland, and HSBC. See, HSBC is the bank that handles all the terrorist and cartel money. Oh, the cartel, you know, like the Sinaloa cartel. That one, they handle all their money transactions. And of course, I don't know if you just heard this or not. The California State Legislature, what did they do, Roger? That's right, our banks in California to accommodate that cartel money. That was just passed by the legislature. Right. You see where this is all going? The criminals are in charge here. Now that they're outed, though, that's a little bit more difficult for them. Now, it was really interesting. I heard Rand Paul on Laura Ingram's show last Thursday. And boy, did he just not pull any punches. Yeah, well, you know, Clinton and Obama, they provided all the money and training for ISIS, and they've been starting up all these terrorist organizations all through. This is what he's saying on national radio. Gee, I wonder where he got that information. Scott Bennett. Now, I'll leave you with this one, because I know everybody wants some encouragement. This is where we left it today. And Scott made the announcement on the radio. We weren't going to make the announcement on the radio, I got to tell you that. He made the announcement, and I said, Scott, we said we weren't going to announce it yet, but we did. One of the people that is really, really interested in this, and has a copy of the video, and the stories, and other thing, is a guy by the name of Cohen. He's an attorney. He's the personal attorney to, and by the way, he wants more information. He's following up. He's digging into it. And who does he represent? Donald Trump. So, I wanted to leave you with a little bit of good news, because I don't think it gets it like this morning. I mean, I slept for about an hour, and I got up and I'm like, I need some good news. And boom, I got 3 phone calls, and things started really picking up. So things are happening. Now we need to get together and tell everybody else. We need to tell our representatives and put the heat on them. Because they're going down. And only we can do this. Nobody else is going to do it. If you're informed about it today, you have a responsibility to tell someone and let them know.
That's Kieran's.
Yes, sir.
Trump made it very clear that he becomes president, that he's going to charge Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, a few of these other people, he is going to charge them with murder. That I heard on the radio.
Well, if it's on the radio, it must be true. Right, Cecil? Wait, oh, that was a ham radio you heard it on, of course. I know, I'm just teasing. Yes.
Everybody go to your local library and try to take out a book called Shellgate.
Right, that's his book.
Not in the library. So everybody go in and request it. They go, well, I went in and said, oh my goodness. Somebody's asking for we didn't have our system. They said we get it in the library outside Sacramento.
Come to blink the lights.
So I went back in and said, no, we don't have it. So everybody go in and try to get that book and bring some help.
It's called Shell Game, a military whistleblowing, light flashing, time to go to happy hour. You're all invited, by the way. And Larry pays the bill. It's a wonderful day. He's so anxious he deserves that, right? It's called a military whistleblowing report to Congress, is what it is. Any other questions? Oh, I kind of got you. Yes, sir.
I just read something today. Don't know if it's true or rumor or whatever, but from what I've heard from you this evening, I was wondering if there's a relationship. I heard that 54 senators have pulled their money out of the U.S. banking system.
That wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. There's a lot of financial discussions going on. By the way, in the third hour, which you're going to all go out tonight and listen to Chris Street talk about the economy of the United States of America versus everybody else. We are set to explode. I don't care what happens to our banks right now, because we are set to explode. What's happening to China? They're diving. They're in so much trouble economically, it's not even funny. And why is that? Because we're the #1 oil and gas producer in the world.
That's good.
And you know what? China is like number 30. Do you think they might have some problems? Well, we're set to explode. So we need, we kind of need that bully in the background supporting America. Now I'm going to leave you with what I tell everybody every night. And by the way, listen to my show, 14:10 a.m. as you leave here, because you'll hear Chris Street talk about this. But I always tell everybody that we are exceptional Americans. We are exceptional Americans. And we need to have the mindset that we are exceptional Americans. You see, this is what pisses them off so bad, is the exceptional American. Why not be one because you are one and demonstrate it? The other thing I always say is stay strong, America. Stay strong. By the way, I want to start dropping the reference to homeland. Anytime we're talking about America, anytime we're talking about Jade Johnson, I want to substitute the word America as opposed to homeland. You know where that term homeland comes from? Nazi Germany. So let's get rid of that vernacular. Let's be PC. Let's be Americans. Thank you very much.